December 2nd, 2001. In downtown Houston, a stream of men and women step out of a gleaming skyscraper carrying cardboard boxes, family photos, coffee mugs, years of their lives. A company once praised as the future of American business has just filed for bankruptcy. The name is Enron, and this is the story of how a miracle company became a cautionary tale, of how ambition, clever accounting, and a culture of silence turned into one of the biggest corporate scams in history. Let's rewind. In the 1980s and 90s, deregulation opens the door for new ways to buy and sell energy. Enron, led by its founder Ken Lay, bills itself as a bold pioneer. The idea sounds simple and brilliant. Don't just move gas and electricity through pipes and wires. Turn energy into a financial product. Trade it, hedge it, build markets around it. Enron's executives call themselves innovators. Wall Street calls them geniuses. Business magazines call them the most innovative company in America, again and again. By the late 1990s, Enron is a star. Revenue figures explode. The stock climbs. Reporters are given glossy tours of buzzing trading floors. Young, fast-talking dealers shouting prices into phones. Giant plasma screens blinking with markets no one had ever imagined 10 years earlier. The message is intoxicating. We don't just sell energy, we reinvent it. But Enron's magic trick has a secret, a way of reporting profits today that may not arrive tomorrow. It's called mark-to-market accounting. Imagine signing a 10-year contract and immediately counting the total future profit as income right now, on day one. If the model says you'll make a fortune later, your books look great today, as long as no one asks too many questions. Now meet Jeff Skilling, Enron's brilliant, demanding chief executive, and Andrew Fastow, the chief financial officer. Skilling pushes the company to move faster, invent more markets, and hit aggressive targets. Fastow faces a growing problem. Some ventures don't earn cash, but the earnings machine still has to hum. The solution they embrace is technical, but the intent is simple. Make the numbers look steady, no matter the mess underneath. They create and use a web of off-balance sheet partnerships, special entities with friendly names like LJM and the Raptors. These entities are supposed to hedge Enron's risky bets and isolate debt. In practice, they help hide losses and keep liabilities out of sight. Deals are structured so that Enron can keep reporting smooth profits, while the risk gets pushed into the shadows. Investors see a company that never seems to miss. Employees see stock options making them paper millionaires. And critics, they are brushed aside as folks who just don't get it. Inside the company, the culture is intense. Rankings pit employees against each other. Those who deliver on targets are rewarded. Those who raise uncomfortable questions are often sidelined. If you're young, talented, and ambitious, Enron looks like the place where your career explodes, in the best way. If you're cautious, you learn to keep your head down. The train is moving fast. No one wants to be the reason it slows. Outside, a few voices begin to wonder, how does Enron actually make its money? Why are its financial statements so opaque? A journalist asks, is Enron overpriced? Analysts who press for details get answers heavy on confidence and light on clarity. But the stock keeps rising, and in the markets, momentum often sounds like proof. Then the wind changes. 2001 arrives with a recession. The dot-com boom is fading. Credit markets are less forgiving. Enron's complex structures become harder to maintain. On an earnings call in October, Enron announces a stunning loss. Soon after, it admits to writing down hundreds of millions of dollars tied to those very partnerships that were supposed to protect it. Regulators and rating agencies start to look closer. Questions turn into subpoenas. Confidence drains away. The numbers no longer add up. And when trust goes, markets move fast. Enron tries to sell itself. A rival considers a rescue deal, then walks. The stock, once a Wall Street darling, collapses to pocket change. Employees who believed in their company, who invested their retirement accounts in Enron shares, watch savings evaporate. Many can't sell because of trading blackouts during the crucial weeks. All they can do is stare at screens and hope. It is one of the cruelest parts of the story. By early December, it's over. Enron files what was then the largest corporate bankruptcy in U.S. history. The building that once symbolized limitless possibility now stands as a monument to avoidable failure. The fallout spreads. Arthur Andersen, one of the world's biggest accounting firms and Enron's auditor, faces its own reckoning. Investigations reveal that documents related to Enron were destroyed as the storm gathered. Whether the shredding was panic or policy, the effect is the same. The public's faith in gatekeepers, auditors, analysts, even regulators, takes a severe blow. Andersen collapses. Thousands of its employees, most far from Houston and far from the scandal, lose their jobs. The blast radius grows. Back at Enron, the human stories are heartbreaking. Picture a mid-career engineer who moved her family for a job she believed would change their lives. Picture a receptionist who dutifully contributed to her retirement plan because everyone said it was the smart thing to do. Picture a trader who bought the company line that this time is different and told friends to buy the stock because you won't regret it. Now imagine them all on the sidewalk, a cardboard box in their hands, trying to answer the most painful question. What happened? Investigators begin to untangle the knot. They find that Enron used mark-to-market to book imagined profits, that off-balance sheet entities were used to hide debt, that conflicts of interest flourished when the person running those entities also negotiated with Enron, and that the pressure to meet targets overwhelmed the obligation to tell the truth. Prosecutions follow. The chief financial officer, Andrew Fastow, pleads guilty to fraud and cooperates. The chief executive, Jeff Skilling, is convicted on multiple counts related to fraud and insider trading. Founder Ken Lay is charged, found guilty, and dies before sentencing. There is debate in courtrooms and living rooms about intent, about what executives knew and when, and about where aggressive accounting ends and outright deception begins. But the verdict in the court of public opinion is clear. The line was crossed repeatedly. On Capitol Hill, the response is swift. Lawmakers craft new rules to restore confidence in the numbers that guide our economy. Internal controls must be tougher. CEOs and CFOs must personally certify financial statements. Auditing firms face stricter independence standards. The message is simple. If we are to invest our savings, we must be able to trust the story those numbers tell. But rules, while necessary, are not enough on their own. Because Enron is not only about accounting, it's about culture. It's about what happens when make the quarter becomes a creed, when speaking up is seen as disloyal, and when cleverness is valued more than candor. It's about a collective willingness, in boardrooms, on trading floors, and in the press, to be dazzled by complex language and constant growth. It's about the danger of believing that innovation means the rules no longer apply. If you're a student hearing this, maybe you've never read an annual report. Maybe you've never bought a stock. But Enron still matters to you. It matters because you will join teams where numbers are the scoreboard, where pressure is real, and where the easy path will sometimes be to nod along rather than ask why. It matters because trust between you and your friends, you and your classmates, you and your future colleagues, is built slowly and lost all at once. It matters because sooner or later you will face a moment when doing the right thing costs more than staying quiet. And you'll remember that silence has a price too. So what are the lessons? First, if something is too consistent to be real, it probably is. Businesses are messy. Markets are volatile. Any company that reports flawless results year after year deserves curiosity, not worship. Second, complexity can be a shield. When explanations are a fog of jargon and acronyms, keep asking until you can say it in plain language. If no one can, that's your signal. Third, incentives drive behavior. If people are rewarded only for short-term wins, short-term thinking will follow. Systems get the outcomes they are designed to get. Fourth, ethics isn't a course you take once. It is a habit, the sum of small choices made under pressure. A spreadsheet cannot measure it, but every organization depends on it. And finally, remember the people in this story who tried to raise a hand. Whistleblowers, skeptical analysts, and reporters who asked uncomfortable questions changed the outcome. Not soon enough to save everyone, but soon enough to keep the lesson alive. Courage rarely looks dramatic in the moment. Often it looks like one person asking a simple, persistent question. Help me understand. Where does the money really come from? Let's go back one last time to that scene on the sidewalk in Houston. A young employee looks down at the photo frame on top of her box, the one she kept at her desk to remind herself why she worked late, why she chased the targets, why she believed. It's a picture of her family at a picnic laughing in the sun. For her, Enron isn't a headline. It's a broken promise. As she steps away from the building, the logo high above her already means something different. It is a warning sign, a reminder carved into glass and steel that numbers without honesty are just stories we tell ourselves. And like all stories built on lies, they eventually collapse. If you remember nothing else from Enron, remember this. Innovation does not excuse deception. Growth does not justify hiding the truth. And no company, no leader, no team is too important to be questioned. Ask why. Ask again. And when the answers don't make sense, have the courage to say so. Because trust is the only real currency that never goes out of style. And once spent foolishly, it is the hardest thing to earn back. That is the rise and fall of Enron, a tale of brilliance without boundaries, profit without principles, and the high cost of looking away. May we do better, wherever we work, whatever we build, and whoever is counting on us.